G'day you mob, how's it going? Pete here from Aussie English, and this is another episode of the Goss, where I sit down with my father, my old man, Ian Smissen, and we chat about the week's news and current affairs, whether worldwide or in Australia. Really, we just sort of look for anything interesting that pops up and then have a chat about it. So today we saw a story about Woolworths, or Woolies, deciding that it's going to go cash free. So they're no longer going to use coins and banknotes in transactions when you want to go to the supermarket and buy some food or some drinks or some whatever it is, nappies, as I seem to find myself doing quite often at the moment. You can't necessarily do that with cash. Well, they haven't brought it through yet, but it's coming. Anyway, we thought we would talk about that and the future of money in Australia. Are we going to move into a culture, a society that no longer uses cash? It's all going to be, bank cards touching, phones touching, and all digital transfers. So guys, without any further ado, smack the bird. Let's get into it.
I got one more.
Yeah, go for it.
One more story. Again, you sent me this one. You probably didn't read it either, but you sent it to me.
Woolworths and money.
Woolworths, right? Yeah. Woolworths, which is one of the two major supermarket brands in Australia. Woolies, yeah.
I always call it Safeway.
I know,
it's stuck in my brain.
The irony is that Woolworths is the older company, and Safeway was the brand name of the supermarket chain that Woolworths owned. But then Woolworths decided Woolworths is, I think, originally a British company, and they decided that they wanted to brand their supermarket chain with the same name. Ironically, there had been a sort of cheap department store called Big W that was owned by the same thing. And Safeway, Big W, where do they get this from? Why isn't it Big S? But yeah, so Woolworths have just revealed that they'd done a couple of stores where they'd tested it, but now they're going to introduce more stores in Melbourne and Sydney that are going to be cash free. They'll be tap and pay.
I remember the last time I used cash at these places. Neither
do I. Neither can I. But so yeah, it's probably the start of the beginning of the end of a cash society. So.
It's one of those things. I can't remember if I was chatting to you about this or it was someone else, but I remember the conversation going effectively that cash is never going to completely disappear because we're going to want to keep certain transactions private, whether illicit or not. You're just going to want to be able to be like, here's money, quote unquote, off the record, sort of thing of like, this isn't traceable, where in a society where all of a sudden all transactions are digital.
Exactly. Even if they're not through a third party like a credit card, they're bank transfers. So, I transfer you money, then both your account and my account have a record of that.
Well, and just wanting to save money, right? There are a lot of people who don't trust banks and they want to use cash or just save their cash and put it somewhere else. Imagine, though, what happens. You're going to get like a certain period of time where the banks will be like, okay, so we're going into this cashless society. Bring your money in, bring your filthy money in so that we can churn it back into the system and, burn it or whatever. But imagine that. Imagine going to a museum with maybe with Noah or with his kids and be like, this is what money used to be like. Before we had digital stuff, we used to have to give each other plastic, paper, metal.
Tokens. To represent value.
Yeah.
Because that's all they are.
Well, wouldn't that be weird, the first generation of people to never see money?
Yeah.
Like, how are they going to view it? Is that going to be... Because if someone were to say to you, I'm going to give you $1 million, your first thing that comes to my mind is a briefcase. Full of $1 million. Usually green American $100 notes, right, from all the movies. But you wonder what will happen in the future with big transactions too that are illicit. What are the drug cartels going to do with, if it's all digital? Are we going to get really hyper advanced with laundering money and all this?
Numbered accounts in the Cayman Islands and Switzerland and wherever else.
Is that something you ever saw coming?
Credit cards came in. The first credit card came in Australia when I was a child.
Yeah.
And of course it was tied to your bank account. So it wasn't a true credit card. It was almost like a debit card, but you had to have a bank account
delayed
in order to, so it was a true credit card in the sense that you weren't paying for the money automatically out of your account.
Yeah.
But you had to have it tied to a bank account
that had that amount of money in there, or
well,
going
whatever
through
it was. I was a child, I can't remember. But and then credit cards just became obviously more and more ubiquitous. I think this is ironically going to change the credit card industry more than the cash industry, because the cash industry doesn't exist. That's a government thing.
Yeah.
But the credit card industry is going to get changed because people are going to want to have close to cost-free transactions, because at the moment supermarkets wear it because they know it's convenient for them. They would much rather...
Well, they probably put it back into the prices, to be fair.
Yeah, but yeah, whether they value add their cost or whether they wear
they don't let you see the fact that they're...
Whereas many other interactions that you have, if for instance, if I go and get my car serviced, I'll go there and it'll cost me $1,000 to have my car serviced, and I'll pay by credit, and they say, oh, that's going to cost you 1.2% more to pay by credit card. And you go, am I going to bring $1,000 in cash in to pay for? You never even think about it, but clearly that's because the credit card companies. The only way the credit card companies used to make money was by charging organisations for the right to use it, and now they make their money out of people defaulting on their credit. Just they're paying the interest off on their credit rather than paying the credit off.
Well,
so that charge, I think, is going to have to disappear if suddenly the government is going to allow, because all cash transaction is effectively licensed through the government in every country in the world. If governments around the world are going to allow credit card companies to suddenly own cash interactions, own the way we transfer money around, and charge people for it when there is no alternative. Because at the moment I have the alternative of going to anywhere and handing them cash, even if they don't like it. They can't legally refuse me.
Unless they're the ice cream store in Queenscliff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he wants cash only at the moment.
Oh, wow, there's a few places there. Yeah, maybe. There's a few other places that'll do card only at the moment, right?
Because at the moment, I think it's fine because people understand that they don't want to be handling cash. And funnily enough, the dirtiest items in our community are coins.
There's cocaine on every $100 note or something like that, right?
So I think that's going to change, where we're suddenly going to have a society that says, we don't want private companies making money out of the fact that we are just using this as a financial transaction. Sorry, it's pointing the other way. Bumped it.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a difference in the way we operate now. The other side of that too is this going to actually increase the problem of people just not seeing it? Because the moment, if I've got $200 in cash in my pocket because that's what I think I can afford this week, and I run out of cash, then I stop spending. Whereas if I've just got a credit card in my pocket, I just keep going tap, tap, swipe until it says you've run out of credit. And then I don't pay it off. So I go into debt and I go into more debt. So I think there has to be a bigger look. It's not just an interaction thing. It's got to be a bigger look at the whole financial system to enable this to happen.
Yeah, it is.
The alternative is they go into debit cards, which is...
You have to have the money already.
Where effectively all you're doing is debiting money from your own bank account.
I try and use that as much as possible, to be honest, instead of the credit card that I have, because, I hate being slogged with that. It irritates me even. I put money onto the credit card beyond the limit, and if I spend that money, I get charged interest on it. And you're just like, you bastard.
Yeah. So I tend to use credit card wherever I can, because I'd rather have the money in my bank account for the next 2 to 4 weeks. But I don't overspend because I know that I've got enough cash in a bank account that every time the credit card comes up, it just automatically transfers the money over on one account. The other one, I manually do it because I want to check it.
Pun intended.
Yeah, literally. Well, actually, that's a funny one too, because when was the last time you received anything by check?
Probably from my 16th birthday from Nana and Grandpa.
Yeah, exactly. So,
it'd be a birthday present.
The checks still exist, and if you go and buy a car from a dealer, they will want a bank check. They won't want a personal check, but they want a bank check rather than you walking in with, here's $35,000 in cash.
Give me the keys.
Yeah.
They'll
want a bank check. They won't take credit cards because it costs them a fortune. If they're paying them 1 or 2% for the transaction, and they're not going to pass it on to you because you're not going to pay it. Mm-hmm. So it's all bank checks. So
what would happen if you say, here's my credit card, that's the only way I'm paying?
Yeah,
they'll say no.
They'd probably say, fine, we'll add 2% to it.
Yeah.
Don't know. And they would probably make sure that the transaction was completed and approved before they handed over the car.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Because credit card companies, while banks who are running the credit card industry on behalf of private things like Visa and MasterCard are not banks, but the banks are running them for them. They're pretty good. I've been defrauded 4 or 5 times, and the banks have honoured that every time.
Yeah.
It's a bloody circus because then you've got, they cancel the credit card immediately.
And then you've got to get a new one.
You've got to get a new one. And then, particularly with one of them, I've probably got 20 automatic payments coming off this one, either weekly, monthly, quarterly.
True.
And I've got to remember what they are and go and change the details, or
default on whatever it is.
20 reminders every time I get a new credit card going, no, this didn't work. Can you please pay us again? But anyway. Yeah, so just an interesting sort of step towards the brave new world, with apologies to Aldous Huxley and his book.
I can't imagine where things are going to be for Noah. And you think about Noah's kids, it's insane how quickly things are moving.
Yeah. Well, and credit cards are disappearing. Most people use one of these.
Yeah, exactly. It's built in there. And even I was watching a news story today from ABC talking about electric cars in Australia, and they're like, this tsunami is inevitable.
Oh.
Because Australia produces none of its own cars. Yeah. We're going to be buying cars largely from Southeast Asia, from Asia, from places like Korea and Japan primarily, and they're going to go electric, and we'll be left with just taking what we can get. The trick is going to be making affordable electric cars, because I think what they're currently at is like the cheapest one's $50,000. Which is,
pure electric, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it'll be interesting to see. I can't imagine not having fuel-burning cars on the road, because at the moment, I think it's less than 1% of the cars on the road are electric, and the rest are fuel-burning. So imagine when that's inverted, and you have these, eccentric weirdos who have these hobby cars that come out on the weekend and spew out noxious.
And they have to have a trailer with their diesel cans in the back.
Well, you wonder what it's going to be like, because you can imagine, we see smokers, right, as being this, ostracizable group of you disgusting animal, you smoker. They get this bad rap from society. But imagine what cars are going to be viewed as: diesel and petrol burning cars.
I already have a couple of friends who've been driving electric cars for a while, and they are really
smug.
Anti. But not just smug. Smug implies that they think they are doing the right thing, which they do. It's more self-righteous in that they spend their entire time bagging people who drive, diesel's old technology and it's dirty or whatever. And I keep arguing and saying, well, it actually isn't, but that's another
justification.
Oh, of course it is. But I've got no problem with electric cars. As a principle, the challenge in Australia is distance.
Yes. But that'll be overcome. Get enough stations out there.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that they have to do that. And it's a combination of the two. It's the number of there are charging stations around here now.
Yeah. I've seen more and more Teslas in Ocean Grove that just keep appearing. And I'm like, how the hell did you get this from America when it's such a long waiting list and they're so expensive? Why would you bother until we get a cheaper, viable option here?
See, I enjoy driving off-road as well. And so until they get a viable off-road vehicle that I can drive electrically. And the challenge with, ironically, an electric car would be far safer and easier to drive off-road because you don't have a gearing problem.
Yeah. It's just go and stop, right?
The engine braking on them is, you can effectively drive down a cliff in an electric vehicle. But the big challenge is going to be charging. Because you're using up an enormous... It's not like you can go... I can go 400 or 500 kilometres on a freeway. That's fine. But that would equate to probably 80 kilometres on a bush track.
Well, you wonder how it's going to affect speed of life on holiday, because we see holidays currently as you drive from A to B and you stop off to take a piss, get some fuel and buy some food. And that takes 5 minutes less. To fill the car takes 30 seconds, a minute, maybe. Yeah. And now when we move over to a solely electric, I don't know, economy when it comes to cars, at least based on the current infrastructure that we have, it's 30 minutes to an hour max, or minimum.
20-minute fast, which will give you about half a charge.
But not even a full tank, yeah. So imagine if you were to go in with your car right now and they said it'll be ready in about an hour.
Ready in a couple of hours.
You're like, crazy? Yeah. So it'll be funny to see what happens when...
Well, what you'll do is that you'll end up travelling, your day travel will be within the limit, and you'll do the slow charge overnight from wherever you are. Because, with most electric cars, you can do the rapid charge, like Tesla, for example. You can do the rapid charge at a Tesla charging station, and it'll fully charge in about half an hour, I believe. But if you wanted to charge it at home on the normal 240 volts coming out of home, then that might take a few hours, but you can do that overnight every night, or you can drive it to work and plug it in at work. So there'll be much more, like your average car park that you currently pay $20 a day or whatever to be in. Every one of those car parks will have an electric thing, so you can charge the car while you're at work. But it's I want to drive from here to Adelaide. Am I going to make it in one go? No. Or does it take me 2 days to get there? Or do I have a 2-hour break in the middle?
Well, that's the thing. You wonder if it's going to get people to enjoy life a little more and relax and see it as, okay, the holiday from A to B, at least today, is, we go to one place and we stop for an hour or two, and then we go to another place. And so it's going to be interesting if we have this big change in how people view going away in terms of the journey itself to getting to the actual destination. If that's ironically making people's lives easier and probably more healthy without, fuel, but at the same time slowing them down a little bit.
I think the other thing that will change is that all of the horizontal surfaces on cars will be made out of solar charging panels.
And so that will fill it up as much as possible
constantly going in. And as that solar energy technology improves, it may well be that if you're driving during the daytime, you never have to recharge at all, because you're going to get enough solar electricity in Australia. If you're driving the outback of Australia, you're going to get solar electricity for between 8 and 14 hours a day, depending on the time of the year. And that should be enough to keep you going if the technology is enough to trickle that through.
Interestingly, the next step would be to have the roads transmit the electricity into the car. That's the next step. And then it's like, okay, batteries don't matter anymore.
And they don't need to do it directly. You can do it, you can do it
magnetically, or magnetic induction. Microwaves.
I don't necessarily want microwaves, but magnetic induction would work. So, there's all sorts of things, and I'm not going to live long enough to see some of those, but
you never know.
I'll see the start of them, I'm sure. But I imagine what Noah's life is going to be like with. He go, I remember getting into Grandpa's old truck and driving around. You had to stop and fill it up with diesel. What's diesel? I don't know. Nothing. Oil doesn't exist anymore.
So it's in the ground. Useless.
And it's going to change the world economy.
Far out, Dad. Well, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Pete. That was a long one, and it might end up being 2 or 3.
That's going to be multiple. That will definitely be multiple.
So good to be back again, and we'll do it again soon.
Peace out.
See you, everyone.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Me and Noah, he's here as well, smacking the microphone with his spoon. That was another episode of the Goss. Don't forget, guys, if you want to get access to all of the Goss episodes, the transcripts, the MP3s, the videos, the entire episodes from 1 to, I think we're up to like 40 something now. Yeah, that's it, mate. Just go to aussieenglish.com.au and you can sign up for those. Anyway, I'm Pete, your host. This has been another Aussie English episode. It's a pleasure, and I'll see you soon.